is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing.
Welcome to another episode of Tough Talk Tuesday. As always, I'm your host, Lucas Bakers. Alongside me, we got Sakura A, we got Rob. How's it going, guys?
Hey! I'm happy to be here.
Say you're happy to be here?
Yeah, I'm happy to see my fellas.
Yeah, Tuesday. We got to keep it going. All right. Berlanga bashes Quigley. Let's talk about it, guys. Sakura, you especially, I know, Rob, definitely. You were big when he's coming out of COVID, right? You were on that Berlanga train. I think we all were, right? We all saw the power. We all kind of bought into the hype. Are you back on after this fight against Quigley?
No.
No.
No, not exactly, because there's a lot that he still needs to work on. Berlanga is a special situation, in my opinion. There was so much hype. I've never really seen a fighter that was as overly hyped as I ever have seen as Berlanga was. Like, he was so overly hyped. I did buy into it big time. I thought he was a beast. He was an animal.
I know you're not admitting wrongdoing.
I was very wrong because he was very, very, very raw. And there's still a lot of question marks that I have even after this fight, because Quigley was able to fight back into the fight, I believe. He hurt Berlanga on a couple occasions during the fight. And there's a lot to unpack with Berlanga right now. And when we start to break down the fight and what happened, I'll get into everything and try to unpack it for you. But there's a lot to unpack with Berlanga right now. Can he be a contender? Is he a contender? Yes. But there's a lot of issues that I've seen underneath the surface. He looked good, but only in the 12th round, if you ask me.
How so? How can you not look good in the rounds that he dropped Quigley in? I think I need to go into a little bit more depth there.
Because he let Quigley come back and hurt him. Quigley almost put off an Andy Lee here, y'all. That's what people were missing. He almost put off an Andy Lee because
that was the coach. I mean, that was his trainer, so
and that looked like the game plan, man. And let's go on the comparison button here. Andre destroyed Quigley. Okay, destroyed him. Berlanga couldn't take him out, and I know you'll agree. Berlanga has more power than Andre. A lot more power, supposedly, than Andre. So why was Berlanga, not only did he not knock him out, but, he let the guy go the distance and he let the guy hurt Berlanga. Berlanga was hurt several times in that fight.
Okay, so why is that, guys? Why is that? Why wasn't he able to get him out? Why was Andre able to capitalize and get Quigley out?
I mean, I watched the whole fight and I didn't see all of this, Berlanga seriously hurting all this kind of stuff. I felt like you was describing a different fight. I really felt like Berlanga wasn't trying to get him out and was using that opportunity to try to hone in on some of the skills and the things that his trainer, well, I don't want to say his new trainer, but his old trainer that he went back to, which was trying to implement. And the game plan was to use more jabs to set up punches. But at the same time, you're right. Quigley did have his own strategy with his trainer, Andy Lee. And so he was effectively sticking to his strategy. But at the same time, Berlanga was holding his own, and he wasn't like seriously damaging Berlanga at any point to me. The other thing is that, in the 12th round is when I guess they just let him loose. It was just like, yeah, you need to remember you got a killer instinct. Where's your killer instinct? Because the whole fight, I was thinking, and I actually said to Emilio, hey, what's going on? I don't like how he ain't looking like he got no killer instinct. And then I started realizing that every round they was like, remember the jab, remember the stick and move, remember this, remember that, remember what this is what we strategized like. So I started realizing that they were actually trying to use those rounds, because that's the real problem Berlanga had all this time with all these knockouts, is he was lacking rounds to really work on anything with a boxer of the caliber of Quigley. So it also has to do, Rob, probably with a lot of people not really realizing Quigley was the one that fought Andrade, and maybe they felt that, you know, Quigley was just going to be another one of these matchroom European boxers that's not that good. But in actuality, he was amazing, and he wasn't even at his real weight. If we want to say something that's derogatory to Berlanga, my point was that Quigley wasn't fighting at his real weight class to me. He had like gained these pounds, right? The 8 pounds to be super middleweight for this particular fight. So, you know, it's not like he was used to the weight, you know, like I'd love to see Quigley stay at 168 and just see what that weight feels like, you know, get him used to that weight against another opponent, actually. Or I could see him at 160 and causing people some problems. But a fighter like Quigley is exactly what someone like Berlanga needed. The problem is that, you know, with Top Rank, he wasn't getting that type of work. He was getting highlight reel opponents that would be easy for him to get these KOs for, because they was building his name up, right? And they were using that. So they weren't thinking about, let me get him in here with a Quigley type of boxer. So I feel like this is exactly what he needed. And in the end, he showed that he still has that killer instinct, which is what originally everybody, as far as fans, was like, you know, loving him for. So, you know, still some work in progress. It's always trying when you know, going back to a different trainer. So I wouldn't be that harsh, because I do feel like that those rounds is exactly what he needed. And he needed a boxer just like Quigley gave him. So I was satisfied.
So that's what I wanted to unpack, though, was the corner. In the corner, all they were doing all night was yelling, screaming, cursing at the man, because they were saying he wasn't sticking to the game plan like they told him to. He wasn't throwing out multiple jabs. Mm-hmm. He wasn't attacking with combinations. He wasn't. That's all you were hearing. Why are you not doing what I'm telling you to do? And from what I understand, it was a rough camp because he had the layoff. He started camp early, and his trainer, he said, didn't let him have a break. So they possibly even overtrained the man for this fight. And yeah, the killer instinct finally showed up in the 12th round, but he's been in trouble in fights before when he's tried to use that killer instinct early on in the fight. So I like him poised more. I like him poised better. I don't understand all the cursing, yelling, and the frustration he showed.
What are you talking about? That's what trainers do in the corner when their boxer is not listening.
Man, you gotta be more poised than that.
Exactly what trainers do.
Look, Rob, I gotta back her on this one. Like, even when you're doing good, you're getting cussed at. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you fucking do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta bring the ampness. Okay.
That's a part of getting your boxer motivated, you know. And sometimes when you're in there, you get tunnel vision and you're not focused. And them curse words help get your ass back focused.
And yeah, I'm sure a lot of it is what Sakura's saying. I mean, they're wanting to see something specific out of Berlanga, right? If they're working on something, they're trying to see that specific thing. And if he's not doing it, it don't matter if you're winning. That's not what we're here for right now. We're here to see what the hell I done told you, and you ain't doing it. You know what I mean? So that's
right.
What it is.
They're trying to get him back to the basics. That's what it is. They're trying to get him to remember the basics. Like,
and honestly, that's what we all said he needed to go back to, right? I mean,
right.
We saw him just swinging and swinging because we know those lower level guys, he's knocking them out, right? But when he steps up in competition, when he steps up to the Quigleys and stuff, he does need to work on the craft more. And I don't know. I really enjoyed what I saw out of Berlanga. When did he switch? Because I could have swore he was like an ESPN fighter. What happened there?
Yeah, Top Rank and Team Berlanga they split ways. They couldn't agree on a renewal contract amount. Okay. Berlanga and his team, they felt that they were valued more than what Top Rank was willing to give them. So they shopped around. They had meetings with Oscar and Eddie Hearns and all of them. So he ended up, I guess the best offer was with Matchroom. So, because they got the contract deal. And that leads me to, I don't know if you saw it, but the little exchange that Eddie Hearns versus Oscar De La Hoya had on Twitter about it. He's like, Eddie's like, you can watch Berlanga on Matchroom tonight, on Dezurn tonight as my boxer, was a little nah, I got Berlanga. You tried, but you didn't get him. And it was like back and forth for a while, but dang, I mean, these promoters, they need to really get in the ring and do some celebrity, bang it out situations, because they really can't stand each other. So it would be just nice to see them lace up for that.
I would like to see that. Me in exhibitions, I don't like them, but in this case, I would like to see that one.
You want to see it? Don't lie. Y'all know y'all want to see it.
No, I said I do.
Okay.
I said I usually don't like exhibitions, but in this case, I would watch it. Now, Rob, you were saying in our group chat, Berlanga Munguia.
Yeah, that is a fight that needs to happen. Both of them pretty much look the same, Lucas. They both have those question marks, but they both have a unique amount of power. They both have power, and they both fight with bad intentions. They're a little, weaker in the fundamentals, both of them. So they both have the same question marks. I think we need to see that fight ASAP. I think Berlanga needs to understand that Munguia is a different type of beast. And Munguia needs to realize that he's got some questions he needs to kind of answer in training camp to face a fighter like Berlanga. That fight is a match made in heaven for those two right now.
Do you think Berlanga is ready for that step up, Sakura? Because make no mistake, that is a step up for Berlanga.
I really don't see it like that. I'm gonna tell you, not after that Derenchenko fight with Munguia. I feel like they are both right there neck and neck with each other.
Hang on though, because Derenchenko, that's some high level competition. Now, I'm not dissing Quigley. Quigley's a good fighter.
The point is that he has
a big difference
with him. I'm not saying anything against Derenchenko. I'm saying I saw a bunch of flaws and a bunch of openings that someone that's known for power, like a Berlanga, is going to take full advantage of. When I saw Munguia against Derenchenko, I'm not saying anything bad about Derenchenko. If you ask me, Munguia's got Derenchenko problems. He shouldn't even be concerned about Berlanga right now, because that's a rematch. What we saw, everybody agrees that was a close fight, and that, if we had to pick hairs, we would go with Derenchenko as a winner. So I feel like they are like neck and neck. Okay, I know you're thinking, Lucas, about the, at least Darenchenko was tougher competition, but you have to look good against that tougher competition in order for it to mean something. He didn't look that hot to me. I mean, I love Mundial, but at the same time, it's like there's still a lot of things that need to be worked on defensively when it comes to that. So him and Berlanga, they can go at it, and we can see which one of them is, able to bang it out. Both of them do have power. I can see it being very competitive. So, yeah, I'm like Rob. I'd like to see it, but I'm just saying, Mundial really, really owes Darenchenko a rematch.
He definitely does. But then again, so does Gennady Golovkin. So does Daniel Jacobs, right? I mean, those were all close fights, and of course, they're never going to go Derevyanchenko's way. He's not even a B side. I would say he's a C side. Does nobody wanted to see Derevyanchenko win any of those fights? However, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you guys. I think when you match them up, I think that's only going to be entertaining. I mean, you have two guys known for power. They're going to go in there. Sparks are going to fly for however long that lasts. I think we all know that one's not going to the bell. My problem is I think just Berlanga needs another notch up, and then the Mundial fight should happen. But I would like to see one more step gradually before that, because Derevyanchenko is already known for taking on those best guys and giving them a good fight. We can't say all of that about Quigley. It's not that Quigley's not crafty; he is. But yeah, I mean, I want to see it. I still think the sky's the limit for Berlanga. He's a young guy. He's going to be able to bounce back from this, and if they keep working with him like this, and they are gradually building him like they have been, things can go really well. Now, Rob, why do you think, because you brought it up, why do you think he isn't getting that knockout? What is difference between Berlanga and Andre with that?
Against this particular opponent, it was the pressure. Berlanga wasn't applying enough pressure, and that's like what commentators were saying, what the corner was saying. He was acting kind of timid and scared to go in there because Quigley hurt him a couple of times. So he wasn't going in there and taking that shot to take his guy out. And then in the 12th round, finally he was like, "Screw it. I'm gonna do what I need to do this round to get the job done." And to answer Carl, yes, that's why he is a good fighter, because he was able to stick it out and do what he needed to do. And that is why this fight with Mundial is very interesting, because both of them pretty much made a clear victory in the 12th and final round in both of these two fights that they had. Mundial got the knockdown to win his fight. Berlanga, attacked him pretty good in the 12th round to make an exclamation point on an already victory.
Yeah, I mean, Berlanga wanted to finish it. He wanted, and you got to appreciate that they built him. He's got the gas left in that 12th round to be able to go after it like that. Yeah, he wanted to finish it. You just can't always get it. But let's go any further. Why was he afraid? Was he getting countered a lot from Quigley?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's something, again, he needs to work on. I think we all saw that too. But go ahead.
Yeah,
Rob,
I mean, like I said, Quigley had his own game plan with his team, and they were executing it. I mean, he was the smaller guy in there, but not as much as people thought maybe that he was going to be. And like I said, that was his first outing at 168. So, and he was coming off I think he had a chin injury. Like, what was it? He had a broken jaw. Andrade broke his jaw. So he was coming off that healing plus putting on the extra 8 pounds. So, that's a lot to adjust to in the first fight that you're coming back on, is what I'm, trying to get at. Sure. It would have been a lot tougher if it had been like a second fight into that 168-pound division.
Yeah. Brett Reed says Berlanga off of 6-month ban for biting, failed to put away his journeyman opponent in Quigley after dropping him 3 to 4 times. Shows he hasn't got the mentality of a world champion.
Yet. He doesn't have it yet. That's not to say he can't get it. He can't get there. But he doesn't have it yet. I agree.
Right.
Mentality can be taught. I mean, we obviously don't think Mike Tyson was already, that kind of mentality back in the day. That mentality was drilled into him by Customato. He needs that. Maybe he is one of those dudes that just needs watched over 24/7. He needs that mentality, but that mentality can be taught. It can be drilled into him. So that is something that he can he can get back. He can get right. But I don't think that's really an issue here. He has the fundamentals. He has, speed. He has power. So if you work on everything else, those fundamentals, that mentality, I think Berlanga can still be a world champion.
And also, Brett, you have to, think about it. Everybody is not knocked out. You know what I'm saying? You got some boxers that you're going to face that just don't get that message. Their brain does not give them that message that they need to stay laid down. So they do exist. So that's why they say, you're not going to knock everybody out. And that's why Berlanga needs to make sure that he hones in on some of these skills that his team is urging him to do, because you can't rely just on KOs. I mean, this is something that is being taught to him the higher level competition he receives.
For sure. Carl, there's a reason why Top Rank cut ties with Berlanga. What do you think that is? I'm down to hear that. There's reasons for everybody, jumping ship. My question is, do you guys think that he is a draw? Is Berlanga a draw? I think he can be made into a draw, but I'm asking, is he one now?
Well, obviously in the demographic of New York, I mean, yes, we saw the crowd there. So obviously, the Puerto Ricans are going to support him continuously, and New Yorkers. Plus, he has a Florida base now that's also going to be supporting him. So, initially he was being groomed on All-Star Boxing, which has the Telemundo contract. So he does have his set of followers. It would be a lot more. Had he went in there and he destroyed Quigley, yeah, he would have gained so many more followers, fans, as they say. But like you two were saying, it's not something that cannot still be taught, that still can't be honed in on.
Yeah, he's 26. I mean, he's got a long road ahead of him. And the best thing is that promoters and his handlers, they are bringing him very gradual. There's always too much, especially in a young fighter's career, where they're just thrown up way too soon. And that's definitely not the case with this. So I'm looking forward to him. We're just talking about Andrade, right? I mean, yeah, he beats a Quigley, but he's fought similar competition, right? He's been in here for a lot longer, and that gradual just isn't graduating. It's just kind of plateauing off. We really want to see Andre in against with somebody good. And hell, I'd like to see Andre Berlanga. We can make that happen.
That would be a natural assumption, since they both fought the same opponent. However, we're dealing with two sides of promoterville.
That's always true.
Railroad tracks. Now Berlanga is switched, and now he's at Matchroom, and Andrade is now no longer with Matchroom. He's gone over to the PBC side. So, if anything, that means that Andrade might be able to fight a Charlo, if he's willing to either do a catch weight with Charlo between 160 and 168, or Charlo moves all the way up to face him at 168.
Okay. Well, regardless, I would like to see it. Let's hope something comes to fruition there. Let's move on here. J-Rock, guys. This stoppage is about all I've seen. I haven't yet to rewatch this fight. I was watching Berlanga, and have not gotten back around to it yet. But everybody seemed to have a problem with the J-Rock stoppage. From what I've saw, I don't see any complaints. Let's talk about this fight, guys. Rob, lead it off.
Well, it's because he was fighting back. He was fighting back, and both guys were throwing so much leather around in that ring. They were both punching with bad intentions. They were trying to hurt each other. I don't know if they disliked each other or if it was just a life and death matter where they both felt they needed to make a statement in this fight. But they both brought everything that they had inside of their body, in their mind, everything. They took everything they had and they gave it their all. So I think that's why people were upset, because J-Rock was still fighting back. And when that happens, I mean, you want to see if the guy can try to turn it around, even though he was losing in my book.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see if he can turn it around, get that boxer's chance, and punch his way to a victory. The problem there is that that's how people get killed. That's the issue there. So the referee stopped it because he's seen enough, really. It's not an issue where Tony Weeks steps in because of outside interference, or he feels like a guy is too old to be in the ring, or
Right.
something like that. The referee has seen enough. He's seen enough punishment for J-Rock, regardless of whether he was fighting back. The referee thought he needed to save J-Rock from himself. And that's honorable, and I can understand that, period. I mean, that's all that I think needs to be said.
I mean, what I want to say is J-Rock versus Adamas, man, they gave us a great fight to watch. Way better than I assumed it was going to be initially. And J-Rock stood his ground for quite a number of rounds. Like, this wasn't he's not winning and it's decisive. No, it was like most rounds to me where it kind of could go his way or Adamas's way. Like, they were tight rounds for a lot of rounds. That's why the scorecards made no sense to me again. They made no sense to me at all because they had it widely in favor of Adamas. But that was not the fight that I saw. I saw a close competitive fight up until it was, J-Rock was running out of steam, and those body punches that Adamas had put in earlier had started paying off. But once J-Rock did start slowing down and he was hittable, he was hitable. Like, he was hit a lot, and they were all very strong punches. And I did start getting worried. Now, people want to say it was stopped too soon. Guess what? As long as he walked out of that ring and he can fight another day, it wasn't a problem for me. It wasn't an early stoppage. He had gave J-Rock like 2 other opportunities in the last 2 rounds, I would say. He could have stopped it at certain points, and he didn't. He allowed them to continue. And every time that he did allow them to continue, J-Rock was responding back, and he was still throwing. He didn't have any type of, dilated pupils or anything. So I think he was fine. But then that last go around, Adamas was landing some pretty hard hooks, and J-Rock wasn't responding right then to me. J-Rock was already kind of buzzed from a few punches earlier. And again, he still didn't stop it then. He allowed it to go on for like another minute or so before he stopped it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you've given your boxer, if you've given what his team was saying was the B-side boxer, which I don't think he should have been seen as the B-side boxer. He's a former world champion, and Adamas, he didn't have anybody like seriously that he was getting the title from or whatever. So to me, they claimed he was the B-side fighter. I didn't see him as a B-side fighter in that fight. But anyway, they claimed that the team, J-Rock's team, said that it was stopped because he was the B-side fighter. And it's like, no, dude, that ref gave him like plenty of opportunities where he could have stopped that fight earlier and he didn't. So for that reason, I feel like it was a good stoppage. I don't know what the fuss is about. People really need to learn about brain injuries and CTE damage. I don't know how many times we have to say that. But J-Rock and Adames could easily, yes, he stopped J-Rock, but those rounds were like way close. I wouldn't mind seeing that fight again, to be honest with you. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch between these two.
How about you, Rob? Would you mind seeing a rematch?
I mean, we're seeing such poor quality fights right now. So yes. Even the big stars aren't putting forth this type of effort in the ring when they fight each other. Sorry, but it's the truth.
All right, let me ask you both this question, and it may sound harsh at first, but you were right. You were speaking earlier, Sakura, about former champ. But unfortunately, he is 1-3 in his last 4 fights. If J-Rock's a stock, are you dropping him? Each one of you can answer.
Yeah, if he had performed badly in this fight, then yes, that would be grounds to, drop him. But however, that's not the performance we got from J-Rock. We got a hard-earned, hard-worked fight. And he gave the fans what they wanted to see, which is a great competitive fight. So I would not drop him just yet.
So
yeah, I can tell Rob is so torn. He doesn't know how to answer this.
When you talk about stock like J-Rock, I mean, the man has made me some money. Unfortunately, I'm losing too much damn money. I gotta drop him.
On that.
I gotta drop him, okay? I'm losing too much here, and there's no hope for the future. I don't see it going back up anytime soon.
Oh, I'm gonna watch the fight before I want to say anything. But if you're just looking at the resume, like Sakura was saying, it doesn't. If you're just looking at the resume, it's different from seeing that last performance. I want to see his entire performance before I say too much. But you're right. I mean, he's gotten stopped twice in the last 4 times, and then that split decision against Hernandez. It isn't looking good as of late. Well, do you think something has changed in J-Rock?
Yes, I believe they moved. He's up 160 now. He was a champion at 154. So he's added on the additional weight, and he's now fighting an entire new generation. Adames hasn't been a champion for too long. This is the type of thing where like it was a vacant belt, I believe. Mm-hmm. Or was he defending that belt? Either way, it was like an interim belt. That's what it is.
Yes, it was the WBC interim.
Yes, that's what it was. Thanks, Lucas. But it was an interim belt, and now he's facing competition that's from a whole new generation. So he's either going to have to drop back down in weight and be at 154, where he looked very good. But I can't say that he didn't look good at 160. He just chose to fight Adames, who's a young, hungry lion, okay, who is known for his punching power. And J-Rock took a lot in that fight. So I want to know, how good is Adames's punching power really? I mean, is he going to be the type that can handle somebody like a Daranchenko or a Munguiao? I mean, is he going to be able to compete on a certain level? Because if J-Rock is on the downslide and he performs like this against Adames, what does that say about Adames?
Yeah, I mean, Adames does have a majority over Derevyanchenko. But
see, I didn't even know he had fought Daranchenko.
But then he lost to Teixeira. So, it's you got to take all of that with a grain of salt, though.
This is like styles make fights, I guess.
Exactly. All right, let's go to Brett's comment. I was holding it back for a minute here. Tim Tszyu, dominant performance on Ocampo in his first round. Does he have enough to beat Charlo? Don't mind you, Tim grows and learns with each fight. He set himself the goal to finish Ocampo faster than Errol Spence and did the same with Hogan fight and setting a goal with the Jamal Charlo comparison.
Oh, buddy, here we
That's
go.
an easy question. No, he will not be able to do what he did to those opponents to a healthy Charlo. That answer is simple. No, it won't be like that at all. And Ocampo is hardly a Charlo, a Jamel Charlo, and neither is if he'd have got Harrison at the same time period that Jamel had him, then yes. But I think he's getting the two twins mixed up because he said Jamal at the end, like comparison to Jamal, because Jamal is the bigger who wants to move up to 168 and face Canelo. But Tim Tszyu is scheduled to fight Jamel, the younger, by a couple of seconds, smaller twin. So I don't think that's going to be the same type of opponents that Tim Tszyu has been able to beat lately. However, I have to give Tim Tszyu his credit because he's fighting when he really didn't have to. He could have just stayed dormant and waited for Jamel and made sure that he was in good standing for that fight. He did not have to take these two fights in between and keep himself busy like the old schoolers do. The old schoolers are the ones that would stay busy and because they needed those extra paydays. So they always stayed busy in between a big fight like Tim Tszyu just did. So I have to give him his credit for that. So he showed us that he is that type of dude. He's that guy that's going to stay busy and wants to be competitive against Charlo. Because that shows me that he wanted to make sure that he was in his best shape and he was like physically not like, kind of dry in the beginning rounds of a Charlo fight. Because that's not what you want to do in front of them. But yeah, that's not going to be the same at all.
Who wants to take that one? Does Tim have enough to beat Charlo?
You know what, Brett? Unfortunately,
I'm on the fence myself.
Tim Tszyu is tailor-made for fans like Brett because, like Shakur said, he goes out and does something, none of these fighters have the balls to do right now. But that being said, he's fighting Ocampo, who's already been damaged. He's damaged goods. He's fighting Hogan. You talking about Hogan, already damaged goods. You're not talking about anybody memorable enough
Harrison,
to be in comparison to Charlo right now. You're talking about Harrison, who retired after the fight. So that goes to tell you where he's at in his career. So you're comparing him and putting him on a pedestal to a level of a guy who's already accomplished those feats.
Right. In a prime Harrison, that he wouldn't have beat Harrison.
So
he would have been able to stick and move all night and not get hit at all. That's the reality of it. And you're also talking about somebody that Charlo beat convincingly in their second fight against each other. So
the reason why I say that is because guys like Tim Tszyu set people up like Brett here for their hearts to get broken. Okay? For your heart to get broken because he's showing you so much promise that you think he can compete with a guy like Charlo. The issue is when they step in the ring, to answer your question, hell to the no.
I'm still. It's kind of like what we were saying with Berlanga, right? I would like to see Tim Tszyu work up a little bit. I think Charlo right now is too big of a jump in experience for him. I think he does need a step between. He needs a step between fight. He is not ready in my eyes for Charlo just yet. But I think he has the bare essentials that he needs to be able to beat Charlo. The question is, will it all come together to, come to fruition to be able to make that W? That's a lot. That's a lot. And
I
like
mean,
said,
they
I'm
were
on the
supposed
fence.
to fight in January. These two fights that Tim Tszyu did now is because of the hand injury that Charlo had during, training camp. So they were already supposed to fight. So the fact that Tim Tszyu decided, hey, I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to go ahead and keep myself busy and stay in shape, and give my local fans there in Australia some good fights. I love it. Like, I love that mindset.
So,
And it does keep him in a better situation. Like, he has one thing up on Charlo when they do fight. He's going to be the busier fighter.
so that's what Brett is talking about here. And
we got to read the comment because some people won't bother to read it.
Yeah, that's what Brett is talking about here. He said, fair enough, but Tim sets himself the goal to finish his opponent in faster fashion and completed the task. And Awesome Tim is a pressure fighter like Castano, only he's bigger and walks through his opponents. So he said, you guys are going to be heartbroken if and when Tim beats Jamar. So, first of all,
I'm not a Jamel fan. I'm not a Charlo fan, period.
Yeah, Lucas ain't no Charlo fan.
Exactly.
I like both twins, so I am a fan, but I know that somebody like Tim that wants to be aggressive and wants to force the action is a perfect setup for those big punchers that they are.
Yeah, I mean, he has a point, though. Castano made a really good fight.
Then Tim should have fought Castano. Okay, but why didn't he fight Castano?
He fights exactly.
He picked Ocampo. He picked Harrison. Go up there and fight Castano next, then, damn it.
I mean, maybe he will. But what I'm saying is I'm kind of echoing Brett here. You have to admit that it's a similar style, right? Except maybe Tim might even be able to do it better. We have to wait to see.
That's the problem.
I'm sorry.
That's why you're setting yourself up there, Lucas, because he didn't finish Castano. He finished Ocampo.
But he's saying Charlo, they had, Castano versus Charlo. It was it was a rematch. But what I'm saying to him is that's like comparing Tim Tszyu to Castano, who had more to offer than just charging forward, being aggressive. Right, exactly. He was a more complete fighter than most people didn't even give him that credit until after he, hung in there and was very competitive with Charlo in the first fight. Then they realized, oh, wait a minute, Castano got skills too. Like, he's not just a one-trick pony that's moving forward and got power. I mean, I'm not trying to be down on Tim Tszyu, but I haven't seen any complex skills from him. Now, there's no complex skills there. It's, it's power punching. And a lot of times it's because somebody left themselves open. It's not like he's setting up people and having them baited into a punch that's big. So that's where I'm like, I don't even think you can compare a Castano with a Tim Tszyu. I mean, it's just not the same.
I don't see against the Fundora. I don't think that's a fight that needs to happen. I think
those are my issues with yeah, exactly. That's my issues. Why fight Fundora? Fight the guy who just beat Fundora. Okay? Mendoza, yeah. Then you're doing something. Now, I agree with Ramirez here is that I think that would be a fun fight. It would be fun to see him versus Fundora. The problem is Fundora lost. Sue hasn't. We need to see him against the guy who beat Fundora and go from there.
Right. I think everybody would go into that fight expecting Tim to knock out Fundora. So when it happens, what did you prove? Not a lot there, but Brett
But
goes on.
Fundora is a tricky guy. He's a tricky boxer. He got caught pretty good by Mendoza. He sat there and plotted and waited till he got that opening, that one mistake. But I don't know if I don't know if Fundora would make that same mistake again against another opponent, no matter who that opponent is. You see what I'm saying? Like, because he's going to be unlearned from that mistake. And right after the fight, he admitted, like, yeah, I made a mistake and I paid. Like, that's something a boxer never forgets. So I don't think he'll be making that same mistake. So I do think that it is a great fight because they are in the same weight class. Tim is unproven when it comes to the higher ranked 154s. So why not a Fundora? Give us somebody besides the opponents of guys that's considered A-side fighters. Because that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing him. But at the same time, like I said, he was trying to stay busy for his Charlo fight, which makes him more money. So he ain't wrong for choosing Ocampo and choosing a Harrison. Because he still needs to make sure he's ready to go and he hasn't been beat and mess up his fight with Charlo.
Now, Rob, I know you're very high on ESPN. Rob doesn't like anything unless it's ESPN official. Rob, would you be surprised to know that he is ranked number 1, Tim Tszyu, at 154 on ESPN's website?
No, because they're trying to set up the Charlo fight. Duh. They've been trying to set up that fight, him as the mandatory actually for Charlo. And let me say this to Brett and you guys here. I have beef with the Charlos. Both of them. Get your shit together, twins, and get in that damn ring. You earn too much money. You earn too much money off of me, off of the fans. It's time to shut up and fight.
Well, you know what? I'm totally in agreement with Rob. I do believe that the Charlos, it's time to put up or shut up because you done been both given a lot of time to recoup from your hand injury as well as to recoup from whatever personal issues the bigger Charlo said. So he's right. We do need to see you guys back in the ring. And also, just to say, just because ESPN makes someone number 1, I mean, are we talking about like on what level is he number 1? Just because he's the busier fighter right now? Because a lot of times I see that when they rank these guys, it's just based on who was busy in that last month and who wasn't. And at this point, Charlo hasn't been busy because he's been out with his hand. So therefore, he's not in the ranking to be number 1. So yeah, Tim Tszyu, that's who's been the busiest. That's who's been the busiest 154 pounder in the last 6 months.
Very true. Let's jump from that Charlo and Tszyu to a different Charlo and Canelo. Canelo signed that PBC deal, 3-fight deal. One, what is the implication for this for boxing as a whole? Canelo's the face. We can all pretty much admit that, right? So what effects does this have on boxing, period? And is he even going to get Charlo? I mean, that still sounds like it's up in the air. He's saying it's official, but I'm not seeing that fight as a done deal yet.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, and there are plenty of players at PBC that it could be. There's plenty of boxers at 168. There's a plethora of talent. So it doesn't have to be Charlo. I mean, but Canelo, shout out to him for proving in a way that he does want to fight the tougher competition at that division. Because otherwise we would have, I think Matchroom wanted to make a Bivol fight with Canelo. Bivol wanted it to be at 168 so he could try for the titles at 168. And Canelo was not having none of that. So
he was afraid of that shit. He's like, no, these are my belts.
Right. So that didn't happen. So then,
win the titles, though. That's the problem. Even at 168.
Okay, but what I'm trying to get at is then Canelo did say, you know what? Well, now I'm pretty much I have to deal with these PBC boxers because without Bivol and without Badu Jack, who said no as well at cruiserweight, he agreed to go 10 pounds less, but not 20 pounds less. So
He shouldn't go any pounds less. Let's be honest. That's some bullshit. Let's call that out right now. Come on, man.
So Lucas, I'm gonna
gotta drop. You can't be coming.
I'm stop you though.
No, you ain't gonna stop
for a minute because
you don't
because
fight
of this
for a title, not at that weight class. Why you
Because
gonna fight for a cruiserweight title at lesser than that weight? That don't even make fucking sense.
I'm gonna stop you because of
clout chasing,
Look,
motherfucker.
hey, Rob,
That's what
I said, I said the wrong thing right there. I said the wrong thing.
I'm gonna stop you because of this. It's as if he heard our last show when we were down talking him, and me and Shakura both said, wait a minute, you got fighters at 168 you need to deal with. Give them credit because they're all at PBC.
Yeah, give him his credit.
Hold on. I'll give him credit
the division
when it gets signed. He can still fight PBC fights that nobody else want to fucking see. That's the problem.
Don't think that's
right
what
now,
will happen.
Canelo knows he can fight whoever, right? He's brawling it. He's drinking in 20, 30, 40 million regardless.
That's where you're wrong, though, Lucas.
But that's the genius of 168.
That's where you're wrong. Because he's with a new promotional company. He signed a 3-fight deal. 3 fights with PBC. He can't just go.
Rob, what I was going to say is that's the genius of 168 right now is everybody got talent in that division. You can go down from Morrell Jr. to David Benavidez to, Andrade is there now. Now,
and that's what I want to see.
Now Charlo's trying to move up to 168. Caleb Plant is at 168. This division, they ain't no easy fights at PBC with these fighters. And they're not giving him all this money and signing him because they want him to fight unknown people. They want big fights. They are after big money.
That's what they want. But what they want and what they are going to get are two very different things. Listen to me and listen. Canelo deals with people that are going to allow him to pick and to choose. We've seen that overall, right? The WBC allowed him to fight Yildirim for a vacant title. Yildirim, he lost 3 of his last 4 fights going into that goddamn fight. He does not care. And to my point, Canelo brings money regardless of who he fights. PBC is making profit. No matter what happens here, this is already a win for PBC.
Them last numbers wasn't looking too good. The fight that was in Mexico for Cinco de Mayo, them pay-per-view numbers wasn't looking that high. So that goes to show people are finally doing what we asked them to do, which is that if you have a fight in a matchup that you don't think is worthy, don't pay for it. So the message is clear. Give us great matchups and we will pay for your damn pay-per-view. That's the message. And I don't think that PBC was willing to sign him. They promised certain things to these fighters that they already had. And they're not going to sign a Canelo just to have him fight outside fighters that's not even with their promotional banner. That's not the way that they work. They don't even like to work with that many people.
Listen, I honestly think you're going to see people from PBC at a lesser weight getting brought up to Canelo for bait. That's what you're going to see. You're going to see big names getting the shit kicked out of them at a higher weight. That's what you're going to see. Mark my words. I call that shit right now. You are not seeing him defend against Charlo. You ain't going to see a Benavidez fight. You ain't getting none of that shit.
Well, wait a minute. Charlo is a 160-pounder that would be moving up to 168.
No, that's not what I mean. I'm saying.
But you said a smaller fighter.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Already said. Canelo says the fight is done.
Canelo says a lot of shit.
The fight is done. But listen, give the man credit to have the balls to do this because guess what? I think Dezurn wants to destroy him with these fighters. I think they want him to go 0-3 over there at PBC.
You mean PBC wants to, yeah. Brett Reed was saying Dezurn hasn't been the same since Canelo Bivol pay-per-view. LOL. one, they deserve that shit because they went back on their word anyway with that pay-per-view garbage. But that's what they get. And you know, I honestly not sure if he can get past a Benavidez. You know, that's still yet to be seen. I think we very well, and if he does sign these fights, like you're saying, Rob, he may go 0-3. But what I'm thinking is big names like Spence jumping a couple weight classes, coming up and fighting him. That's what I see.
That was one of the fights that Spence was saying that he would be interested in.
Well, everybody's interested. You got $40 million probably. You know
yeah, but at
like,
147, that's a big jump. Like that's a huge jump even for Spence.
But he just wants the money. I don't know if Spence even wants to win. He just wants the paycheck.
He might think he can win. I mean, he might think he can win because Canelo hasn't been looking the same. You know, in his last couple of fights, he probably is thinking like, "Hey, I got just as good a chance as this last bloke that he fought." You know, he's probably thinking that. It's like, why not?
He's definitely, tapered off, but.
But I guess what? If he wins any of these fights, or if he loses some of these fights, I wouldn't care because I'm after the competitive fights. If he fights a competitive fight, even if he loses, I'm like, damn it, I'm rocking with Canelo now because at least he went for the competitive fight. So that's the way it works with real boxing fans. It's like sometimes the outcome is just it's a part of it, and if your man wins, you're all happy. But if your man don't, you still had a great experience because it was an exciting, competitive fight.
Doesn't it feel like he's being forced into this, though?
No.
Yes, because the people fell through. Then he tried to go up and rob Badu Jack. He's trying to.
But listen, he still has an advantage here, and a bigger advantage, starting with Charlo, because he hasn't fought at 168 yet. And he's coming off of a 2-year layoff?
Yeah.
So he really has a huge advantage with Charlo. Then he can go take on Andrade. Why? Because he's now used to a fighter who's actually, to me, better than Andrade that fights at a similar style. So now he goes and takes on a lesser opponent in Andrade if he beats Charlo. And I think he can win that fight. So it actually is really to his advantage here. And then you get
talk about Andrade like anybody wants to see it though. And then you fight.
I mean, I want to see it because we've been promised it. Like we was promised it at 160 on Dezurn. So I never got to see that. So it's still something that's hanging out there.
So
is it a legit win? Do we care? Do we care if Canelo
he's not a
floor with
flat-footed boxer that's going to stand right in front of Canelo. So that makes it a challenge for me. When I see how Caleb Plant was able to maneuver around Canelo a lot and had his moments in those fights, I see Andrade doing something similar. I feel like it's a better fight than people think.
Maybe you see something I don't, but
I feel like Andrade would be similar to Lara fight. Similar to Lara, actually.
I don't know. I don't think he's got it like Lara. I don't think he's got it like Lara, but
let me tell you like this because of what Brett is saying. And he's making the same point I'm trying to make. Canelo needs a Benavidez win to get back on the top of his game. He won't do it. Why? Because he's scared of Benavidez, and this move is the epitome of how scared he is. Because he would rather fight Andrade, Charlo, and then make Errol Spence come all the way up to fight him just to avoid David Benavidez.
That's more believable what I see. That's more believable of what I see.
But it don't make sense to me. Why would he be scared of a Benavidez when he's constantly trying to go up and fight bigger guys anyway?
Because he picks and chooses those bigger guys. Exactly. He picks and chooses. Oh, I want Badu Jack, but you coming down in weight. Nah, man, that's what he's been doing.
You're
the Caleb
saying
Smith
that you
fight,
believe Benavidez is a highly skilled.
Yes.
Benavidez
After
is
that,
I haven't seen it.
After
I'm
that-
to God, I haven't seen it.
I'm not
I
even-
be on the hype train with Benavidez, but I haven't seen it. What I seen him every time do is be the bigger guy in there and just wait till people slow down and get tired, and then he starts.
isn't that exactly what Canelo did? Isn't
But
that
I'm
exactly
saying,
what
but that's
Canelo
not what we're
did
talking about,
with
right?
Caleb Plant? Isn't that
But
what
that's
he
not what
did
we.
with
Yeah, that's the exact
Billy
same
Joe
thing.
Saunders?
Exactly. Why would he be scared of Benavidez? That's what I'm trying to tell you. Why? I don't see why he would be scared of him when he went all the way up and tried to get a cruiserweight fight with Badu Jack. Got a
Then
fight
why
with
did he
Ball.
take the-
Then
why did he take
then he
the
got the
damn
fight
fight?
with Cove. These are all bigger people that have shown us better skills than a Benavidez has shown us.
Because he's going to have to sign like a rehydration clause against Benavidez because we all know Benavidez is doing the same shit that Canelo's been doing for years, blowing up in weight, trying to bully his way
I
through
really
stuff.
don't. I don't believe
Benavidez-
this scare
listen,
tactic. I don't think
Benavidez-
he's that scared of Benavidez. I think he knows that that's the money fight in which a lot of people want to see, so why not drag it out?
No, he's pissing his pants at Benavidez.
I don't think he's
pissing
signing
his pants.
I'm not all the way with Rob, but I do agree. I don't think he's trying to get against a Benavidez fight. There's a reason he said he didn't want to fight any more Mexicans. When he was talking about Mexicans, he was talking about one. He's talking about Benavidez.
I mean, my point is there was some other names too. But I mean, I'm just saying, I don't necessarily believe that it's because Canelo's scared of a Benavidez. Like, I don't see that. I'm trying to figure out why that would be. He's fought bigger guys before.
Did you see what he did to Caleb Plant? He beat him the fuck up.
I mean, that was just because he slowed down and he was able to be called. And he's the bigger guy. Of course, he's gonna do damage to somebody smaller. Smaller frame,
Canelo's smaller.
Everything. Like it's
Exactly what Lucas said.
Canelo's smaller.
Canelo's not that smaller though. Caleb
He
Plant
is.
is specifically not that small. I mean,
Caleb Plant's almost bigger than
I'm
Canelo.
saying Caleb Plant
you know what it is, Lucas?
It's physically what I'm talking about is the bone structure and the things like that is what I'm saying.
You know
He's
why
not
you're
like-
scared, Shakira?
Yeah.
It's not because of the weight. It's because Benavidez punches hard as fuck.
I don't think he wants to lose to another
I don't
Mexican
see
either.
him. I
He
would
don't
just
wanna-
say he's punching. He punches fast, and people don't see the punches.
Man, that dude gonna
He
knock
ain't laid nobody out.
That
Okay,
dude,
who
that,
has
Hey.
he laid out? Benavidez hasn't laid anybody out in one punch.
he hasn't had
He
to.
didn't even punch. Look,
Trust
he
me.
didn't even do it. He didn't do it to Caleb Plant.
Trust me. I said it here first, Brett. Benavidez is gonna knock Canelo so bad, he gonna wake up on a Monday evening in Mexico. And they fought in
Well,
Las Vegas.
that's a good point, Brett. Brett is correct. Also, you make a fight with Benavidez, and he may not make the weight. He may not even make the 168.
That, like I said, he's going to be made to a no rehydration clause. You're going to have 5
Well, in
pounds.
his case, guess what? In Benavidez's case, guess what? He needs a rehydration clause. Because when he gets in there with you, he
Nope.
might have weighed in at 168 or 167.9,
Hey,
but his ass on the fight night is like 30 pounds more than that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hey,
But what you're not gonna
but
do?
what's
So,
Canelo
he
been doing?
needs a
You're not gonna-
rehydration
What's
clause.
Canelo been doing?
True.
Canelo been blowing up to 186, 187, fucking knocking little ass Amir Khan out at 148. You know, come on,
Yeah,
man.
now I agree with that part.
40-pound rehydration
I
clause.
agree with that part of it, but
He's swinging a toddler at the guy like that. That's what that is. That's a weight difference, right?
Let me
I'm
answer
just
Brett,
saying, I
Brett
don't
here
see
though.
him being scared of him. I really don't.
But let me answer Brett here though. You know why I love Benavidez? Because you're right. The man made a mistake and he lost. I think he lost the title on the scales before, came back, never happened again. The man did what the Charlos are doing right now and had cocaine in his system.
Well, it didn't happen
Got
again because he
suspended.
didn't have a belt the second time.
Got
When he
suspended. It's
when he
never
didn't make
happened
weight.
again. Okay, it's never happened again. He is a new
No, it was
disciplined
twice.
fighter.
He didn't make weight twice, and then he got popped the pad usage thing on the first time that he was champion at.
It wasn't pads. It was cocaine.
But besides that,
Let's
it's not
be
even
honest.
that, guys. It's just y'all are acting like Benavidez got all these extra skills and stuff, and I've yet to see it. And I also haven't seen him knock somebody out cold for somebody to be just terrified of him, like a Gervonta Tank Davis. Like, I can see you being scared to get in there with Gervonta, but I can't see you being scared to get in there with Benavidez yet.
I think it's also stylistically bad matchup for Canelo. It just is. Because he's going to throw while Canelo is throwing. You know, it's not even a counter. He will throw as you are throwing because he already knows Benavidez's punch is going to hurt more than Canelo's punch on him. That's all it's going to take. He's going to be able to punch through him. He had to worry about a lot with Caleb Plant, right? He has to worry about his footwork, his countering, you know, overall ring generalship. He had to worry about everything. We already know what Canelo's going to do, right? He's going to come after the body.
But that's the game.
And he's got a big torso. I admit it's a big target, right? But I think everybody already knows Canelo's style. Everybody knows what strategy is laid out here, okay? And I think it's much easier to game plan right now, even for Canelo at this weight, than what it is even for a Caleb Plant.
And I mean, so you say you don't have one knockout power, Shakur. What you cannot say is he don't have a killer instinct, and he does have that killer instinct, Benavidez. So when he goes after Canelo, like when Bivol went in there and just outboxed him, didn't really have that killer instinct in there, Benavidez is gonna knock his damn block off.
I mean, it's the easiest path for him. So my advice to Canelo and his camp would just, if they do ever have this fight, which obviously, because we've talked about it so long, this must be the fight that most people are looking forward to the most. I would just advise Canelo to make sure he's in the best shape of his life and that his strength and conditioning coach is on point. Because when he's a moving target, Benavidez doesn't do well with that. He does not. It's been proven that he doesn't do good with movement. Matter of fact, I'm going ahead and predicting Morrell will win his fight against Benavidez and take that spot.
I think Morrell has a better chance than Canelo. I'm dead serious.
You're not disagreeing with me.
No, I think he has.
I was finna really get it. You know.
I like what I see from Morrell. You know, from what little we've been able to see, I really like him. But yeah, I don't know. I'm good. I want to see that fight. I want to see a Canelo fight too. I'm doubting we get either one of those anytime soon, but I'm all ears. Rob, I know we're going to get ready to sign off here. I do want to mention the below, Savannah Marshall. Great fight. We ain't going to do predictions, so I feel bad for even bringing it up now because you just gave me credit. But now I'm going to have to be like,
Cruz, how old is she? Like George Foreman age now? Damn.
No. And she's undisputed. She is undisputed at her weight class. Okay. Savannah Marshall, if she couldn't get through Claressa Shields, I doubt if she gets through Franchon. As a matter of fact, it could be Savannah hitting the canvas because Franchon is a huge power puncher.
It's a great fight. This is going to be a good fight. I mean, we're not even going to give predictions on it. I'm not going to go too much because I know Rob need to be going. Your phone's going to die on us here pretty soon. But I wish we would have brought it up sooner. That's my fault. But great fight, faults. Very entertaining. I know women always get pushed to the back. That's my fault.
And shout out to Lubin, who won his fight this weekend. And right. Boy, that was a brutal. Arias got really beat up bad. It was great to see Lubin back in there and doing his thing. Hammer time.
Gotta like Lubin, very entertaining style. Rob, did you have anything else for like I said, I know we're gonna be lean, but did you have anything for rapid fire?
We kind of touched on it. I was gonna do a rapid fire. around the rapid fire with who y'all want to see Canelo fight from PBC, but we
Okay.
already did that.
I
Well,
think yeah
can we
we
do it next time? Can we do it next time? But you mix it up the way you did the other time, like the final four type.
Like a Canelo round robin. Hey, let's have it happen.
yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Check it
Yeah.
out next weekend for that. But thank you all for tuning in. Thank everybody for inputting all their comments and everything. Makes the show that much more fun. Don't forget, check us out every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. As always, we are Tough Talk. This is Tough Talk Tuesday. We are heavy bag boxing. We don't pull any punches. Have a good night.